We are here at Ohio's Spring Dairy Expo. Visiting with us is Larry Sherm, one of the individuals that has helped putting on today's contest. We have a youth contest in dairy judging, and we want to discuss that with Larry. Larry is an internationally known dairy cattle judge and travels all over the world evaluating cattle and genetics for American Breeders Service. He has volunteered his time to participate in putting this contest on. First, good morning, Larry.
Good morning. Happy to be with you.
Thank you. We are at the contest. There is approximately 500 or 600 youth here participating. And Larry, would you tell us a little bit about the people and youth that are here at the contest?
Well, this is Ohio's FFA and 4-H state judging contest. A contest with, as you mentioned, there's 500 or 600 youngsters here to participate, as well as interested youth from other states, as this is a national show. So there are youth here that are welcome to participate, as well as some judging teams, collegiate judging teams from other colleges that use this show as a workout, as a practice session for the national contest that they'll participate in at Madison in October.
Switching gears here a little bit, for our non-ag viewer, what do you look for in a dairy cow to evaluate her, and what's the purpose of that?
Well, first and foremost, the primary purpose of a dairy cow is to produce milk. So a cow needs to have evidence, which is throughout her entire structure, that she is a productive dairy cow, an efficient dairy cow. But then from that point, their mammary gland is the primary focus of attention. On the scorecard of evaluating cows is 40% of the weight. And then her foot and leg structure is another 30% of the weighting, and then the balance would be her overall structure of the cow. And so we look for a healthy cow that looks productive, a cow that's in balance to herself, that's youthful and looks like has longevity opportunity built into her.
And not only are we looking at the cows, we're evaluating the youth that are participating. And how are we doing that? How do we evaluate the youngsters that are here?
Well, first of all, there's a series of questions that we ask on each class that try to point out some of the more obvious things that they need to be learning. The youth that have developed their skill at judging will be the ones that answer most of the questions correctly. The ones that are still developing will have an opportunity to learn from the questions that we've asked. Well, I need to pay attention to this particular, this is an important question, either an attribute of an animal in the class or something that needs to be different about an animal. So it's a real learning opportunity through the questions. And then later, after they've placed the animals, answered the questions, they come to us individually one at a time and give us the reasons that they've placed a class a certain way. There's 4 animals in a class, and they've placed them 1, 2, 3, 4, or however they've placed them, and then they come to us and say, I placed the first cow over the second cow because. And the opportunity to develop interpersonal skills to communicate. It's a real opportunity for youth using dairy cows as the format, but it's mostly about the kids and a chance for them to develop.
And so this is something that even if they're not going to spend their life in the dairy industry, they're going to have a wonderful experience that will carry them through life.
I would guess 80 or 90% of them do not end up milking dairy cows for a living. Many of them may be involved in their life in some fashion of the dairy industry, but a lot of them will use some of these opportunities as ways to develop themselves for the marketplace and whatever venue they go into.
And this also, many of the contestants are not necessarily from dairy farms on dairy farm backgrounds.
Many of them aren't. It would be a guess, but I'd guess over half of them are not from dairy farms.
Well, that's it for today, folks. I'm here with Larry Sherm, an internationally known judge that volunteers his time along with a lot of other volunteers at the Ohio Spring Dairy Expo, one of the contests that is on the way to the national contest at World Dairy Expo in Madison, Wisconsin in October. I'm Doc Sanders, and we'll see you down the road.
Down the Road is brought to you in part by Prince Agra, makers of Omnigen AF, advancing animal nutrition for healthy animals, and Woodruff Enterprise of Springfield, Ohio.